Welcome back, everybody. This is Elizabeth with Our Simple Earth, sitting here with Mr. Justin Gamble. Good morning, Justin.
How are you?
Lovely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for sitting here with us again today.
Well, thank you.
All right, so what are you wanting to talk to us about today?
Kind of a touchy subject for me. There is, not a lot of people have heard of it, unfortunately, but there is a very quiet little battle raging over a product out there in the world called golden rice. Golden rice is a genetically modified rice. That's only modification is that it's basically it has extra beta carotene in it. And the reason that it has extra beta carotene in it is because in a lot of developing nations around the world, somewhere between 250 and 500,000 children a year go blind from vitamin A deficiencies.
Wow.
Half of the kids that go blind die. And this is every year in parts of Africa and parts of Asia. And back in the 80s, the Rockefeller Institute the Rockefeller Foundation put together an initiative to basically solve this problem. And the solution that they came up with was golden rice. And it's been grown, it's been tested. It's a viable solution out there in the world.
Why aren't we doing it everywhere?
There are a lot of the anti-GMO crowds, organizations like Greenpeace, who, because it's a GMO and because it's been genetically modified, automatically they don't consider it an option.
Okay, so hold on for 1 second, because if I recall correctly, you, Justin, were also a little bit anti-GMO.
Absolutely. I've been very animate about my stance on companies like Monsanto and that whole side of the argument. And to me, the difference, I really had to come back and retract a lot of, not necessarily retract, but I had to kind of change my view when I read about golden rice.
That must have been very difficult for you.
It was Dr. Patrick Moore who originally introduced me to the Golden Rice Project.
And who's that?
He's one of the original founding members of Greenpeace, and he actually left the organization because they took a very anti-human stance.
That guy's a stud.
He is. He's kind of an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But his whole deal is, these organizations, just simply because it's GMO, it's bad. And the only purpose that the golden rice has been modified for is to have beta carotene. It's a free-growing seed, so once you've grown it, you can use the seeds again. Unlike a lot of Monsanto's corn and other things where the seeds are sterile.
Right.
So you can't replant seeds from the year before. With golden rice, you can. Golden rice, there's no chance of crop contamination because of the way that a rice plant fertilizes itself. It's all internal. There's no external pollination that goes on. So there's no chance of crop shift or anything like that like there are with normal GMO products. It's really simple to me. It's a GMO that serves a purpose other than making money.
And you trust it?
It's been tested. It's been, there have actually been cases brought up against the people who've done testing because these anti-GMO groups say that they're unsafe and Greenpeace is one of my favorite examples. They've destroyed several different research crops of golden rice and then will stand up and say, well, there's not enough research. Well, it's because you just destroyed it,
Wow.
Let it grow, let us test it instead of burning it down every time we grow a crop. So it's amazing to me that some of these anti-GMO groups take such an anti-human stance in a situation like golden rice because they claim that GMOs are bad because they hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at what point do you walk up to a child who's suffering from vitamin A deficiencies, who's just gone blind, and tell them that you know what's better for them than they do? Like, if you can do that, go for it. I personally would rather let them try the rice.
I like the fact that you are staying in the middle and you're listening to both sides and you're researching and you're making your own decisions based upon your research and what has been tested from every which way possible.
Yeah, and my biggest thing is, I think when I initially took an anti-GMO stance, there was nothing middle ground about that. And my argument is not necessarily the safety of the food as much as it is the environmental serfdom, I call it, as a farmer, you buy these seeds and they're sterile. They're what they call suicide plants, so they basically grow themselves to death. And now, even if you have natural crops, these genetic traits can move into, basically they sell you a seed that you have to buy next year if you want to plant. And it's just, I don't see a lot of benefit from standard food production GMOs. No one's ever shown me a type of corn that was developed to make, to have more vitamin C or, to address a specific issue. And that's the thing with golden rice. It is a extremely specific issue. And it's because in developing nations and in parts of Africa and Asia, rice is all they can afford and it's all they can grow. And even, Monsanto, the big giant that I've talked about, all the bad things they do, they're kind of the good guy in this situation because they helped develop golden rice, and they've said anybody who uses golden rice and makes less than $10,000 a year, which is the specific group of people that we're talking about,
Right.
they don't have to pay any royalties. They'll give them the seeds for free.
Wow.
So you talk about me taking a middle ground approach. I kind of wish some of the other anti-GMO people out there in the world would at least listen to a valid argument and kind of take, if it was able to change my mind, I imagine it could probably change a lot of minds. It's just one of those things that not a lot of people have ever heard of.
That's a pretty fascinating stance, Justin. Thank you for sharing with us today. I look forward to hearing what you have in your next installment. And until then, I hope it made you think as well. We'll see you next time on Our Simple Earth.